The following is an excerpt from the book Experiences of Thought by Anthony Kahn, available now on Amazon.com and Kindle. The Journey's End, Next to Normal. We have discussed much throughout the course of this book that requires an open mind, and we have emphasized the importance of asking questions. But just how open should our mind be? And at what point is it simply left defenseless? At what point is it silly to keep asking questions? The world is full of tricksters and sensationalists, so how can we know that which is real and that which is embellished or outright fake? The simple answer is that we can't, at least not in the absolute sense in most cases, but we can know what ideas to be wary of and what evidence to regard with suspicion. There is a context to everything and a motive behind everything, and we must try to understand whether the motive is to share facts, entertain, push an agenda, or create a hoax. There is much still that we don't understand, and so it is right that we should be open to new ideas, but we must never let down our defenses. There is a whole host of corroborating evidence that backs up the established facts of science, and these facts are thus worthy of our trust within the constraints of the assumptions made. The reported outcome of scientific investigation, at least insofar as internationally respected, peer-refereed journals are concerned, is really the most reliable information that we can hope to come by. Furthermore, endeavors that are completely consistent with the fruits of scientific investigation are eminently believable. It really is a waste of time, for instance, to deny the Apollo moon landings, as they are entirely consistent with the technology of the time, and a hoax of such magnitude would be far more difficult to pull off than the real thing. It really is futile to argue that the world is flat, because you must throw Occam's razor out the window and explain diverse phenomenon in extremely complex ways to reproduce what a spheroidal model of the Earth gives us with ease. Even if you have not been into space and seen the spherical Earth firsthand, you nevertheless have ample knowledge at your fingertips to establish that the Earth must be spherical in form. The existence of time zones, for a start, is something beyond dispute, even to the armchair-bound conspiracist. And yet try to explain them with a flat Earth. It is a slippery slope to become a contrarian out of spite and to trust conspiracy theory proponents over credible, independently verified sources. So we have the output of science, the fruits of corroborated observation, and the associated refining of theoretical models. But then we have much more besides. We have broader philosophy, such as the theorizing contained within these pages, which inevitably lies outside the scope of experimental validation or falsification. We have religion, itself an offshoot of philosophy to some extent. We have the experiences and testimonies of others, for which we must take their word. We have a cache of video and audio evidence, of the kind that abounds on cable television and popular websites. And lastly, we have, of course, our own direct experience. Amidst this plethora of sources, we must determine what is true and what is false, what is believable and what is not. There is the mundane, the curious, the bizarre, and the miraculous, all of which we must wade through and try to come to some sensible picture of what our reality actually is. Now we have made the case above that the output of science is worthy of our trust. But what of the rest? Outside the normality of science, if you will forgive calling such ideas as found in quantum mechanics normal, we occasionally come across some fairly extraordinary claims. We hear of such things as flying saucers and alien visitations, ghostly visitors, reincarnation, and near-death experiences. Do any such ideas merit our investigation or belief? Arguably, just about anything warrants investigation within the bounds of feasibility and time constraints, but belief is a more difficult question. The problem is that many of the phenomena we relegate to the paranormal are not easy to investigate, at least not with the robustness of a conventional scientific approach. We can say categorically that evidence for all such phenomena as listed above does exist, but is it good evidence, and can we establish anything concrete from it? Recently, the United States government, via the Pentagon, released confirmation that 3 videos taken by U.S. Navy pilots were genuine and contained footage of unidentified aerial phenomena. You can hardly get a better endorsement than that, but does that mean we have proof of alien visitation? The answer would have to be no. Could it be alien visitation? By all means, we know that things take place that we cannot explain, but that does not necessarily mean that a particular model that has predicted them is right. But it should make us think twice about the model in question. Ghosts have been reported by people of all nations and all walks of life since recorded history began. It is not hard to find videos and audio recordings of purported ghostly or poltergeist activity, and there is apparently no shortage of people who claim to have had direct experience with ghosts. Videos are easy to fake, as are audio recordings, so it is difficult to determine with absolute confidence that any particular recording is genuine. But it is hard to believe that every person who claims to have seen a ghost is making it up. Certainly, they may be mistaken, but it is unlikely that every single person is lying or embellishing their story. It is a similar case for near-death experiences. Many who have come back from a brain-dead state have reported similar experiences of a heavenly realm and have had their outlook on life fundamentally changed as a result. Some have even reported floating above their body and observing the doctors who were operating on them and the tools that they were using. This is compelling testimony, but it does fall short of being concrete scientific evidence because it is impossible to verify the validity of another's experience. Once again, we run into the same problem with claims of reincarnation. A person claims to remember a past life, but how can we verify such claims? They may have learnt of particular events within another person's life via a range of sources and convince themselves that they are that person or even fraudulently create that impression. People have regressed to past lives under hypnosis, but again, are they really remembering experiences of a past life, or are they being convinced by their own imagination or external suggestion? If we can establish a mundane, viable source for the recounted information, we can disregard a particular case as useful evidence. But if a case were to be true, how could it ever be conclusively verified as such, at least to the world at large? Ultimately, some things just have to be experienced firsthand for us to ever truly believe them. Having said this, there is really no reason to dismiss any of the above claims outright, at least in the broad sense. We may not be able to confirm that any given claim of paranormal experience is genuine, but that does not mean that such ideas are nonsensical. Scientists are actively listening to the skies for extraterrestrial communications through such programs as the SETI Institute. Yet talk of little green men is guaranteed to provoke laughter among respectable sources, scientists included. Presumably when and if ET finally arrives on our doorstep, we shall be so overcome with hysterical laughter as to be unable to converse with them. And the existence of an afterlife is very far from foolish, wishful thinking. If nothing else, the contents of this book has hopefully conveyed the magnitude of the mystery that is consciousness, and highlighted its all-encompassing importance within all matters. That we may communicate with the living upon our decease is not as unreasonable as a materialist outlook might suggest, and nor is reincarnation an opportunity to further refine our eternal mind, our eternal soul. If the dying process is begun but not finished, then it is not beyond reason that one may, under certain circumstances, retain memory of the hereafter upon regaining worldly consciousness. We must be very skeptical of claims of the paranormal and guarded against those who would deceive for their own purposes, but we must never be closed to anything that is logically conceivable within the confines of our knowledge. Many ideas that arise within philosophy are counterintuitive and fly in the face of conventional thinking. Yet at the same time, it would be foolish to regard such ideas as merely the rantings of crackpots with a contrarian or esoteric agenda. Yes, many ideas must unfortunately be put into that category, but many more are proposed out of genuine need arising within the limitations of accepted models and are built on logical inference as opposed to flights of fancy. Much that is the domain of the paranormal may indeed be wishful thinking and sleight of hand, but then maybe, just maybe, some things that we now call paranormal may one day come to be regarded as merely next to normal.